Chapter 43 of Puss in Boots Jr. and Tom Thumb. An Empty Nest.
Now, won't you please listen to my story? I don't want you to think so ill of me, begged the blackbird, fluttering down to the meadow.
Well, go ahead, cried Puss Jr. Now that Tom is safe, I suppose we might as well delay our journey to hear what you have to say. You certainly are persistent enough.
It is not a long story, commented the blackbird, for it was only in the early spring that I lost my mate. You see, we had just finished the nest, and we were going housekeeping at once, when a man with a gun shot Mrs. Blackbird. It was very lonesome up there on the top of that tree in an empty nest. That's why, when I saw little Tom Thumb on your shoulder, I flew down and carried him off. I thought he'd make a jolly little playfellow.
Well, you don't seem as black as you're painted, said Puss Jr., but let me give you a little advice. Think of the other fellow next time before you do your kidnapping. The blackbird looked very sorrowful, so Tom got out his harmonica and commenced to play a tune. This made everybody feel much happier. When the song ended, Puss looked at Tom and said, "Shall we ask the blackbird to join us? He seems a good old sort of bird, after all." "By all means," replied Tom Thumb. "He really meant no harm." "Why don't you join our party?" said Puss, turning to the blackbird. "Would you like to travel?"
"Delighted!"
cried the blackbird, his eyes brightening and his feathers shining with a new luster.
"I would travel to the North Pole with you."
"Well, come along," cried Puss. "We will now proceed upon our journey of adventure." And he strode off down the road, followed by the blackbird. They had gone but a few steps when they heard a dog barking. The sound seemed to come from a small house a short distance off. "More trouble," said Puss. "Whenever I hear a dog bark, I'm sure there is, or there is going to be a fuss."
"I'll keep the dog away," said the blackbird stoutly. "No dog shall harm Puss Jr."
"Thank you," said Puss, "but I find that I can take pretty good care of myself. Not that I do not appreciate your kind offer, but Puss Jr. has met many dogs in his travels, and is still possessor of his trusty sword." End of Chapter 43. Recording by Pigeau.